Hey guys, welcome back to TJ's Gamer Vids. I got so many responses and views on my previous short bowel video that I had with my medical issues that I actually decided to do a little bit more in-depth one. That was kind of one more of a quick description, but this one's going to go a little bit more into detail. I'll still be producing probably a third or a fourth one that's going to cover the whole entire thing because it is an extensive type of research as far as how everything went down, but this is just a little bit better explanation. So the first comment I got was exactly what is short bowel syndrome and how it affected me. So I'm going to read off what I found the definition for the exact thing is. Short bowel syndrome, also short gut, is a malabsorption disorder caused by the surgical removal of the small intestine, or rarely due to complete dysfunction of the large segment of bowel. Most cases are acquired, although some children are born with congenital short bowel. It usually does not develop, and usually more than 2/3 of the small intestine have been removed. SBS is designated as a rare disease by the EMA, eligible for orphan drug designation according to Food and Drug Administration. There are roughly 3,500 adults and 9,000 children with SBS in the USA alone. So 3,500 adults, 9,000 children in the United States, completely. So it is relatively rare. For me, what caused it is another symptom known as gastroschisis. Gastroschisis, that's Gastroschisis. Gastroschisis represents a congenital defect characterized by a defect in the anterior abdominal wall through which the abdominal contents freely protrude. There is no overlying sac, and the size of the defect is usually less than 4 centimeters. The abdominal wall defect is located at the junction of umbilicus and the normal skin, and is almost always on the right of the umbilicus, which I'm guessing is the umbilical cord. The defect occurs 5 to 8 weeks after conception, most likely due to a disruption of blood supply to the developing abdominal wall. So for me, what happened was the gastroschisis, my guts were hanging outside my body, my large intestine, they were twisted, they died, and they had to be cut out. So after they got cut out, food goes, I have an average baby has up to 10 feet of intestine, I believe, and I was left with 3 inches. Because of that, your body can't malabsorb anything. Food goes literally right through you. Because of stuff like that, you can't absorb anything. As a baby, that's all you do is eat, sleep, grow. So they actually told my mom, they said, okay, this kid's not going to live a normal life. He's going to be special. He's going to be not able to be potty trained or move or walk or weak, and he's just going to have an overall sad life, which obviously I can do all of that. And I was fine. They told my mom, said, since he's not going to do very well in life, that you should probably just starve him to death. And my mom said, that's not the way I was raised. I'll see what I can do. So that's just what she did. So because of I was raised fine, I had like a little backpack and a G-tube, which the 2 other things that I was going to look up, I had 2 cords attached to me. One was a feeding tube, and one was a Broviac. The Broviac is a tube. Is a tube that goes directly into one of the main lines of your body. It is exactly like a PICC line, except for the PICC line is on the inside of your body, whereas the Broviac's on the outside. That way, they don't have to stick you with the needle as much, but it is much more prone to infection, being messed with, and it is just outside your body. In both cases, more commonly with the Broviac, your body sees it as a foreign object, and it tries to force it out of the body. Many times my tube would just, over days, push itself out of the body. There's like a little plastic hard knot that is meant to anchor it inside, body will push it right out still. I've had over 38 surgeries, and every one of them, or almost every one of them, had to do with replacing my Broviac line. Now, the Broviac, there's only so many line accesses. These are going into one of the main, I think it's 5 arteries in the body. There's arm, and 2 in the groin area for your legs. And then you can also do it in the neck. I actually never had one in the neck. Surprisingly, they did have to do something, which is why I have some scars on my neck. I'm not quite sure what they are from. I know, well, they had to fish my Broviac line through my chest. They had to go from my neck to my chest. As far as that goes, another defect I have no main artery in my right leg. I think it's interior vena cava, or I'm not sure what it is. But instead I have a cluster of veins and arteries that just make up this bigger one, or a bigger cluster. It isn't like a solid artery like it should be, though. But the Broviac is a tunneled central venous catheter. The catheter is in the veins, goes along the collarbone or any other larger area. The other thing I had was called a Mickey button. Many parents that have kids with this kind of issue, they know exactly what a Mickey button is. As far as feeding their kid or their child, they have to wear the little backpack and all that kind of stuff goes in their stomach. As you get older, it will pull the stomach down and stretch it. I actually never had. You're supposed to get them replaced. I've replaced the Mickey button multiple times because it falls out, it gets old, it gets gross. But the actual hole in the stomach never replaced. Just from age 0 to age 18, which is as long as I've had mine. I had it in me, and it grew, and it kind of stretched. When I was much younger, in first grade, I had an individual kid in school rip out my Broviac line. It was in the lower groin area, about a little lower to the right of my belly button. He ripped it out, and that was basically like my life at that point. You know, I needed that to survive. Surprisingly enough, this school, South Elementary, you can look it up, thought it would be too harsh to expel him or even suspend him, so we thought, okay, well, we're done with that school, so they left. So the G-tube, a better definition of it, I'm looking up right now. It's the gastrostomy feeding tube. You'd think I'd know how to pronounce these since I've had them my whole life. This is something that's a lot better. It's like a secondary nourishment system for kids that aren't getting enough food. They can put whatever they want in there, and it goes directly to your stomach. A lot of it's usually like a high-powered protein shake that the kid has to build up immunity to, like a Pedialyte, Pediasure. PD is something or other. They're not built to be drank. I mean, they have ones for kids to drink, but they are nasty beyond belief. They are disgusting. They're worse than no animal, nothing would drink it if they were told to, because they're gross. It says a feeding tube from there used to be another one. Feeding tube is easy to conceal. It is easy to conceal, but as you get older, you know. Especially in the teen years, you know, you wear a t-shirt and you have kind of like this bulge, and it looks weird. It looks kind of like a side boob, I guess you could say. Some of the things some parents have asked me about, I actually went to a convention type thing for kids with short bowel syndrome, and I actually met a gentleman. I think he was in his late 30s or 40s. He weighed 86 pounds. He had short bowel syndrome. He's still on the TP and lipids, so I guess I could count myself as lucky. I got off that at 18. I'm now turning 21 in 3 weeks. So I think I have to say, you know, a lot of it has to do with how my family took good care of me, no matter what the doctors did or what they tried to do. And a lot of it is, you know, there are good doctors, but there are bad doctors. Another side effect of having all these surgeries is eventually the scar tissue, you know, there's scar upon scar upon scar, will build upon scar. And the body wasn't made to hold scars together like that. So you overexert yourself in certain areas, those scars are going to tear and they're going to lead into hernias, which essentially isn't a big problem as a child, but once you start getting older, it's just easier to take care of them, like when you're 17 or 18, because when you get into your 40s, they actually can become lethal, but when you're younger, they're easy to take care of. But because of these hernias that I had as a result of this, you know, they have to go back in, cut it up, fix it, and it's a really minor surgery. It was like one of the smallest ones I had, like an hour, and I had 2 of them. And they were both on my stomach. You can't really see, there's a scar right there. And then my G-tube scar, which you can't really see, it's right there. They're just smaller, a lot smaller scars. Some other things that have been done. My most recent surgery, I won't say the name of the area because I don't really want to talk bad about them. They actually did try to stick me with a needle to put me down under the anesthesia because I refused the gas. It took 7 needle pokes, which wasn't a big deal, except for the 6th one hit a bone in my arm and bent the needle. Yeah, I didn't feel very good. But, you know, my veins are extremely difficult to get after as many times, and after I said, you know, as many surgeries as I've had. my veins tend to roll, and they don't appreciate being stabbed anymore, I suppose. But that's really all I really have to say for this video. If I have anything to say to parents that have kids with short bowel syndrome, I know your kid's probably got a lot of crap to go through. He's really gonna have a bit of a struggle. He's gonna be smaller in life because he isn't absorbing as much. You know, puberty will pick him up a little bit. I'm not saying that your case will be the same as mine. I still eat like crazy. I actually had to take a food class to know how to eat. But in my personal opinion, experience, I've learned that the kid will always end up eating food. From this constant dumping of food into his stomach and in and out, he'll develop a really fast metabolism. And because of that really fast metabolism, he'll always be eating. So if you can teach them moderation, to try and eat it and try and hold it in within them for a little bit, and so their body has a chance to absorb it. Not only will they'll develop a little bit of moderation, not eating so fast and going to the bathroom as much, but then they'll just, they'll have that kind of like, I don't know, reservation for food. They won't go crazy. But that's all I really have to say as far as this video goes. Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe if you do. Try and get the word out. I'd like to be able to get on like a TED Talk or something. I think that'd be kind of cool. Just to be able to tell my story. I recently visited a couple kids in the hospital. One kid's name was Logan, and he was 6 years old. He just had open heart surgery. Just go to visit and tell my story to see how he's going. And it cheered him up, got him a little fake snake to play with, and he was good to go. So just, pass on. Thanks for watching.